last ones. I know there's some plexiglass if it would make you more
dear
comfortable.
Lord, no.
That way when you cough, you can see it.
Yeah.
What do you think, Steve? About ready?
Not quite.
Okay.
Sure.
I can say you sound like my wife. You ready to go? I'll let you know when I'm ready.
You're not in the car yet, so. Heavenly Fathers, we come before you today. We ask for your blessings and guidance and pray for rain in Sherman County. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm ready. Meeting of the Board of County Commissioners come to order, please.
So our 15-minute window's open for public
15-minute window is open for public comment.
Did you guys look through the bills I actually sent out? I didn't see anything wrong. Did you guys see anything?
Not that I,
That's the way I want.
I just have one question. Well, I got more than one question, but one question on church. Happy business party. Water softener, I think we went over this. Water softener rental at Topside. What's the scoop on that? I thought Topside was on their own on that stuff.
Yeah, I seen
Why
that
do we
too.
pay that?
It's just been a monthly thing that we've paid for years,
that's our
years and
building.
years.
But we were with Good Sam's for years and years, so they're a private business now, right?
That's
Yeah.
something that we can ask them. I mean, especially since it's a new building, I don't know if they,
It's not a lot of money, but it's still, I don't know why we're paying it.
yeah, I can ask them.
Okay.
Okay.
Also,
Oh, okay.
there was some canine, I'm assuming this was Sheriff's Department canine expenditures from Republican Valley.
That was actually a court case. Brett might be able to touch on that one. It was a animal cruelty. So that will be,
Boarding fees, we had,
and a euthanasia and,
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
a cremation
Yeah.
fee and,
so there was a, gotta choose my words carefully, because it's still an ongoing case. There was an incident that began as a child welfare check that went into a child needed care case that developed into an animal cruelty case and involved at least one animal being euthanized, as well as one or two being boarded out here at KB's board.
yeah, I don't have that bill, but
Yeah, but so that would explain that. But it will at least be sought to be recovered in restitution.
Okay. This is that one rod, $564.
yeah.
So we got a few minutes, something I was gonna bring up, and I didn't get anything back from Rod Butts, but the other day I went to the health clinic, county health clinic, and you know all the wind we were having. They have to lock that door where you always walk in, because the dang wind keeps trying to tear that off, which it, I guess a couple years ago it did, and it cost like $8,000 to put a new door in. Wondering if we could have something built there with like louvers, you know, that come out about 4 or 5 foot, so you can still see through there, a little air through, but it would not let that wind just tear that door off of there.
That's at the back or the front?
The front door where everybody goes in.
Was that automatic door where some people hit that automatic door and it comes open, whereas if you grabbed it, you would feel the wind, but yes.
Well, even I went in and then pulled it shut, and then the wind popped it open, and so they had to go lock it. She said when the wind gets really strong out of the south, they have to lock that, and then people have to come to the door and ask to come in because they're afraid it'll tear it off there again. Well, the simple fix would be if we'd come out with about, you know, 4 to 6 foot wall there. Just, I was like, use some 4x4 tubing or something and set it there with like some, you know what I'm talking about, like louvers.
It'd look decent.
It'd look decent, and yet it'd let a little air through there so snow or something didn't pile up there, and yet it would keep that wind from trying to tear that door off there. I mean, it'd be a lot cheaper to fix that now than have that wind tear that door off there again.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll try to get, do we need to put that out for bids?
I would think you would have to, wouldn't we, put that out for a bid?
How much are you thinking it'll cost?
Rod is gonna get back to me, but I had some metal I said I could donate, but he didn't think it'd be that. I'm guessing $1,200-1,500 probably.
So we have a potential for funding for that, the K-Camp risk avoidance grant that we could use. That's $2,000 every year.
Okay. So maybe I'll get back a hold of him, see what it would cost to build that, and then get back with you guys.
Yeah, because they have to draw up in specs.
Yeah. But just, you know, a couple $1,000 is a lot cheaper than an $8,000 door again.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Well, and the safety measure of somebody trying to catch that door.
yeah.
And
Well, and if they're out there in the wind trying to get in and they can't get in, then they gotta call or knock, and if they don't see them, I mean, it's just, we just need to fix that a little bit.
Sounds good.
I guess Harvey came in this morning, but he made it down to the annual meeting, I think. I think he enjoyed that. I learned quite a bit down there, while we were down there. It was a good meeting. What did you think, Steve?
I thought it was pretty good. A couple of the presentations were a little lax, I thought, but some of the other stuff met up with, she's now a commissioner in Riley County but owns ground in Ford County, and was talking about the wind towers down there and making sure that you have clauses of repair and then also tear down at the end of the contract.
Right, some kind of a bond or something to
Yeah.
take care of that, yeah. Yep, I agree, we need to have that.
And then the other one I thought was, we don't have any concerns of it ourselves, but the different people that have quarries and the amount of liability that they need to carry gets quite interesting. And then there was a big discussion about a lot of private ground is being sold for hunters, but it's not billed as commercial property. It's still billed as farm ground. And
Yeah, it's like
if they're going to
grassland.
if they're going to make a profit off of that,
The one thing there was a young couple that did a presentation on the Inflation Reduction Act, and they were pretty proud that Kansas was getting $1 billion. So I asked them afterwards, who decided that? And they said, our governor was probably, and they were pretty proud of that. And I said, so do you know how many billion are in a trillion? Which they didn't know. I said, there's 1,000. So it's $3 trillion. That's 3,000 billion increments. There's 50 states. Why did Kansas only get 1 billion? I mean, how was the math done there? I mean, I'm not for that act, but I still think we got slighted. I mean, that doesn't make much sense to me to get that much money for our state, but that's my thoughts. And then they were talking about they were going to spend $2 million of that and put charging stations across the state of Kansas. And I didn't understand that. I mean, you know, when the gas car was invented, businessmen put in the gas stations, and they seemed kind of dumbfounded that we, who pays for electricity for that? I mean, is the taxpayers going to fund that forever and people can just charge for free there? Because that's not the way the charging stations work. You got to put a credit card in and pay for it, just like gas. So there's some things that need to be questioned, how that money is being spent, I think. But all in all, it was a good meeting.
Mr. Lovelace, we still got 5 minutes of open session, but if nobody's here, we can.
Sure, I can go fast so that Ben has more time.
Okay. That'll work.
Yes.
Just, we ask you to get close to the microphone because we've had comments that they cannot hear you.
Not just you, but everybody that comes up, they can't hear us because we don't get the mic.
I was gonna say,
So just pretend you're singing into it.
that's really gonna be quiet. So we have to pull this close.
Is it on?
Eric, are you getting him good? Can you
Got
hear
it?
him?
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you. Couple of things this month. I'll do the normal, go through the budget. Oh, I'm missing one page of that. One that the board seems to be very interested in is our daily cash on hand.
There you go.
So we've had a pretty good month here. Revenue was just over 3 million for the month, and budgeted at 3.3. So we're a little bit down for the year, 28.2 and 30. So we're still working hard on getting the revenue up, but we've been managing our expenses pretty well. And one of the things that we always look at is our contractual adjustments, and that has to do with the basic cost report and where we are with Medicare. And right now, they owe us money, so
Isn't that a surprise, huh?
yeah. So the adjustments are lower than expected, so it gets us to a total income before expenses of 1.9 million against a budget of 1.8 for the month. And for the year, 15.7 against a budget of 16.1. So we're staying pretty close to budget, pretty much right on. Then on the expense side, the biggest piece of that, of course, is our salaries, and we're still a little bit down there. We've got a few open positions. We're $630,000 for the month, the budget of $694. Year to date, that's 5.6 against a $6.2 million budget. So we're ahead of that pretty well. And that's not always a good thing. We don't mind spending money on the employees, but that's...
How many are you short right now?
8.
8?
8 open positions right now.
And that's
So-
nurses and
Yes.
technicians?
In fact, I'll give you that here in a
Okay.
minute, that full list. We'll go through that. Total then, said total expenses, 1.6 million versus a budget of 1.7. So again, we've been able to keep our expenses down. Year to date, 14.6 against 15.6. Gives us a total operating income, and this is real key. Just based on the operations of the hospital, we had $237,000 for the month, budgeted to lose $21,000. So that's pretty good that we
Really turned that up.
yeah, and we've done pretty well. Yeah, year to date, we're at $407,000 against a budget of a negative $193. So from operating, now we have some below the line income, the tax revenue, and the 340B. When you put those in, it gives us a total net income of $349,000 for the month versus $178 for the budget, and $1.8 million for the year versus $1.6. So we're about 13% ahead of the budget year to date. So through basically 9 months, 3/4 of the year. So that's running an EBITDA right now of for the year of 15.53%, which is pretty good in the healthcare world, particularly for critical access hospital. Again, our revenue is staying flat to down, and it's we've been controlling expenses pretty hard to be able to hit those numbers. So that's pretty much that. We did do, and I'm going to preface this the same way my CFO did. This is a very, very, very preliminary and rough draft budget, just kind of to get us going from our document. We've met with all of the departments and worked with them. So we're looking at budget next year. Total income for the 23 is $21 million. Salary about 7.78, just under what we're expected to hit. Just over what we're expected to hit this year. So that take into account we've built into that a cost of living increase as well as the merit increase, so that we can continue to take care of our employees. Biggest savings there on the expense side is we're looking to really reduce our contract labor. We are projecting right now for the year we'll spend $1.4 million on contract labor, and that's money I would just as soon give to our existing employees as to someone that comes in here temporarily and fills a gap. So we want to really focus on trying to reduce that. We don't have a major reduction, but we've got it down to about 1.3 for the next year, so a slight reduction. We know with some couple of employees that one or two are going to be out on maternity leave. We have to cover for that, obviously, and don't want to hire somebody because that position stays open, so we put contract labor in there. And so we know we've got a couple of those coming up, but we're hoping to get contract labor pretty well reduced by mid-year next year to where we're hopefully staffed and able to cover those holes. Then our total expense for the year, about $20.8 million, giving us an operating income projected for 23 of $200,000 for the year. So pretty much a flat budget is what we're targeting. And again, very, very preliminary. We'll bring the final budget to you when the board approves that. Our meeting is set for November 30th to have our budget meeting and review all of that, and then we'll come shortly thereafter here and present the budget to the commissioners. On our capital expenditures for the year, we're projecting just over $1 million. Nothing overly fancy. We've got the upgrade our Omnicell server. That's the Pyxis. That's the dispensary system in the med-surg and the ER. We protect our medications and other supplies and be able to control that a little better. That's a pretty significant patient safety issue to have that in place. It's got its checks in there so that we don't pull the wrong drug, do the wrong thing, or the wrong dosage. It's pretty much, standard in the industry, but we're going to have to upgrade the server on that, so nothing, it's one server, 28,000, so we got to be in the tech industry. That's where we got to be.
If it's technology in any field,
Yeah.
there's a big expense.
There
to
is.
that.
And it seems like if it's tech, and then if you add healthcare to it, you still add another zero.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's pretty significant. Anyway, we've got a couple of other things on there. We're looking, probably going to have to replace the boilers at some point. They're from 1972, and so 50-year life is a little beyond what their expectation is. So Kent's been holding on to those, and I keep telling him just hold off, and we don't think we can hold much longer. So we've got those in the budget for next year's capital expenditure. And that's almost $500,000 right there.
The nice thing about the boilers is the technology that it has improved. We had to replace one in our house, and it's half the size of the one that was in there.
Right.
It was twice as much, but it's still, the efficiency of it, really.
They are so much better. But the other thing I have found from a previous hospital is that we put the new boilers in, and they just didn't work quite as well as those old ones, or they just weren't as reliable as those old, big old things. But they were more efficient, yes. But got to the day's cash on hand, like I told you. We're running at 253. Liquid cash 266, total cash. We're still measuring COVID dollars in there, so if you pull the COVID out, we'd have 121 days cash on hand, which is of liquid cash, 134 of, including the non-liquid, or our total cash. That's really pretty good. I think we've talked about that before. For critical access hospitals, staying around 100, 120 is pretty much a target, so we're almost double that if we count the COVID dollars. Those were in the process of reporting the last bunch on our audit, and of course the government requires a single audit to be done just on that, and we expect to have those finally released when this audit is approved. So that's that. Now to the new hires. We had no terminations during the month, which is good. 4 new hires, new phlebotomist, a new couple of people in the environmental services, got a floor tech, and a former employee that's going to be returning to us, going to be taking over case management and utilization review, so, which is a big piece. Just to kind of give an idea of what that really means is, for example, if I send somebody out for a specialist, let's just use orthopedics, that's the most common one. What this person would do is coordinate that so that they would go away for the surgery, that we obviously don't do here,
Right.
but they'd bring them back for the swing bed or the rehab. So that's the job of that case management and that utilization reviews, to making sure we're getting people with the right care, the right place. And we all know people heal better when they're close to their family and friends and home than they do away. So we think that's going to be a key position in helping us getting that back. We've had some of our specialists who like to recommend their own rehab centers instead of bringing them back home. And so that's something we really want to work on. And I said we have open positions. I listed 8 here. We have an RN position, an LPN position, looking for a ward clerk and a nursing assistant. We still need a rad tech. We need another medical assistant in the clinic, and some lab assistant, and then a couple of patient representatives, up front. And then the big one that we're on the administration side is one of our internal transfers was Tina moving from HR over to working on the public relations and marketing and foundation work. So we need a human resource generalist. We are still a little short there. We've been down for a while. So one of the biggest things we did this month, well, we've been working on this since I got here. As you know, we have a sister hospital in Atwood, and while we don't necessarily have a referral pattern back and forth between those 2 hospitals, we are able to share a lot of the administrative duties, and particularly on the finance side, and now on the human resources, as well as some of the facilities, which is some cost savings for both organizations when you can share an employee instead of having to hire 2 separates. So we've finalized that regional org chart. I've been referring to it as one organization with 2 hospitals, because each hospital is still unique and each hospital still needs to have their own identity and the way they do things. So I'm not going to change any of that, but we've got that structure is set up with a single leadership team. So instead of me having a meeting in Goodland and turn around and having the same meeting in Atwood, I can have one meeting and we alternate it between the 2 hospitals. So that structure is, we've got at the top of that with Dr. Days is the chief of staff and the medical officer for both facilities. Heather Prideaux is the CFO for those 2 facilities, plus she also has Burlington, which is outside of my org chart, but so she has those 3 hospitals. Allison Mulch is over all of our clinical facilities, that's just nursing, lab, radiology, all of the patient service areas. Amy Powell is our Chief Operating Officer. She oversees the clinics as well as therapy and the rehab departments and quality for both hospitals. And then we've got Ryan Marvin in charge of the maintenance and EVS for both facilities, and Tara Bowles over the human resources for both facilities. So that's my senior leadership team, is those 6 individuals that really work for the day-to-day. And then behind the scenes, but forever important, is our compliance and risk with Tina Wisnant, who's handling that for both hospitals. And then our foundation work and marketing is headed up by Suzanne Kell from Atwood. So kind of split it pretty well, I think, between the organizations, but doesn't mean we don't have people in both places that work on the day-to-day, but this helps us streamline and be a little more efficient in some of those areas that we can do that. So any questions on any of that? Okay. And then just a couple of things in the community. We had a employee and other emergency departments and whatnot from the community barbecue. Wasn't real well attended, but we tried to do that the 1st of October and get a group just to kind of share with our community partners and say, come on out and eat together and enjoy some activities. So we had probably 25, 30 people come to that, so not real big, but it was nice to see. We did our first breast cancer walk on the 8th of October. Had approximately 25 people come out for that walk to support breast cancer. That's the money that's going directly to our radiology department. Still have T-shirts available if anybody would like. $20. Call Kirsten; she's ready to sell them. And then that's pretty much. I've given the other updates with the HR and the foundation. So we are working to get the foundation up and running a little better. So I think Suzanne, that we talked about, has years of experience and will help us really from the technical side, getting that up and going. Start doing some fundraising again and raising funds for the hospital.
Okay.
So that's really about it for the month. Not anything earth-shattering.
So, question for you.
Yeah.
I've been asked after our last meeting, there was some discussion about delivering babies.
Mm-hmm.
Has Centura, and you may not be able to answer this, every hospital they've taken over out here shut down the delivery of babies?
Centura hasn't shut down anything.
So does Atwood deliver babies now?
Atwood hasn't delivered babies for years.
What about Burlington?
Burlington just stopped from delivering here not too long ago.
So that was a question. It said, it seemed like every hospital Centura gets associated with, they stop delivering babies.
Yeah, it's not Centura as much as the reality of what these critical access hospitals can do. Believe it or not, obstetrics, even though we've been delivering babies for thousands of years, it has become a very high-risk area, and we just simply don't have the staff, and we simply don't have the expertise to be doing that on a regular basis. And so, but those decisions are all made by the local boards. In fact, it's in the Centura contract that they cannot make any decisions on, well, they don't make any decisions, period, but they don't make decisions on changes of services. That has to be a local decision.
So the board would be the one that would have to make that
Yeah.
decision? Okay.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean there's not recommendations made. I've made recommendations to the board, and I will continue. That's my
Sure,
job, is
sure.
to make recommendations for, against, whatever, and then the board would approve it. So.
Well, I just think it's a discussion that probably needs to be had, because just like you have a couple people going out on maternity leave, but they won't be able to deliver their baby here, they'll have to go elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I know of one young couple that was debating between Goodland and Colby for a job, and they just picked Colby because of that, because they're going to start a family. So if we lose young people, that's our future because of that. It's an important decision that we need to look at.
Yeah. It is, and I would, you can argue all over the place of what it's doing to the community and losing jobs, and I personally don't believe that's the case. In fact, statistics show that's not really the issue for people making decisions about where they're going to live.
Well, I can play devil's advocate the other way
Yeah,
because
you can.
because you just talked about people needing to get back here after surgery because they do better around family, and I think it's the same way when you deliver a baby. If your family is immediately right here and can go up and see, I think it helps
Yeah.
that family grow too.
Yeah.
So those are just my opinions.
Of course, deliveries are, if they're routine, basically in and out same day almost anymore.
Yeah.
You might get one night.
Yeah, yeah.
But, we don't have it. I know it. The last hospital I was at, we did deliver babies, and you don't make money on it. You lose. But to do that, I had 2 OB-GYNs on staff, and I had a direct hotline with maternal fetal medicine in Colorado Springs, which is what you have to do to be able to run it. And it was quite an expense, and it was, quite difficult to do. And we still had, any kind of delivery that was of any difficulty or any risk at all went out of town.
Mhm.
So the key is that we need to maintain our hospital. There's always going to be something that you're going to have to go someplace else for, but if we don't have our hospital for daily care of people, whether it be the emergency room, the
Right.
specialists that come in, we're very fortunate that, we have, I don't know the number, but the amount of specialists that come in and see patients here in Goodland, do follow-up or do referrals is a big issue.
It is, and that's one of the things that we've actually done very well in Goodland is to have the specialists here, including obstetrics and gynecology. Is our specialists that do come here and they do see patients here and take care of all of that. So, but you said it right on. You hit it perfect, Steve, and that is that these critical access hospitals are built to provide the basic services. That's what they're there for. They were a safety net when they were developed. Some are able to do a little bit more than others for whatever reasons. I ran an orthopedics program in Lamar. I ran an oncology program in Lamar. We don't have either of those here. We have them through specialists. And it's just every community has a little bit different, but the basic needs, the emergency room, the critical care, those are the things that we're really focused on. And these specialties are the add-ons. And if you will look around, I know right in our area, St. Francis and Colby both deliver babies, but the majority of critical access hospitals anymore do not. They just don't, because it is such a high-risk area. And unfortunately, that's driven by litigation most of the time. And the word of, if you look at malpractice insurance and for the OB-GYN area, they said it's not a matter of if you get sued, it's when.
When?
Get your
Because
checkbook and have it ready.
They can, if something happens, they can go the life of that child.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's
I had one of those in my last hospital, and it was very, very sad. No fault of the doctor, but we still paid.
yeah.
I mean, baby got caught in the birth canal and suffocated. That's a complication of delivery. So, anyway.
Well, I just had to ask. When people
I
call
know.
and ask me
I
questions,
know.
we have to bring them to the
That's
table.
fair enough, and, I have to be prepared to address and go forward. And it's, that decision obviously was made before I was here, but, I understand the rationale for it. My first hospital in Springfield, Colorado, quit delivering babies for that very reason many, many years ago, before I went there. But Lamar was discussing nonstop. They've had their biggest problems. They can't keep nurses in Lamar.
How many full-time doctors do we have here now?
In the clinic, we have Dr. Ray and Dr. Day is full-time, and then Dr. Robbins is 1 day a week here, and the other time in Atwood.
Okay.
And then how many nurse practitioners or PAs?
We have 2 nurse practitioners and a PA.
Okay.
So we've got a pretty good stable. We're seeing roughly 15,000 visits a year in the clinic, and so with 5 full-time providers and a part-time provider, we can pretty much handle that. The target from CMS is that you should see for every doctor what they measure us on, where we get penalized if we don't hit these numbers. It's 4,200 per doctor and 2,100 per nurse practitioner or PA. So I mean, you can do the math. If we got 2 full-timers, 8,400 on the doc side, and then 3 on the other side at 2,100. That's 6. So we're staffed to be able to hit easily over 10,000 visits. So if we're doing 15, we're doing a little bit better than the CMS guidelines, but they hold pretty close. I've seen hospitals that are penalized on their cost report for not hitting those numbers. So it's not a matter of just running out and hiring a bunch of people. You got to have the volumes to do it. So,
Okay.
all right.
Sounds
All
good.
right. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Ben, I went over.
All right.
He started to get up a couple times.
Yeah.
Keep it short then.
He adjusted out there, so, well, thank you, Doc.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, either way. Good to see you. Yeah.
Morning, Ben.
Good morning. How's everybody?
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, so are we ready to roll today? We're kind of excited about the finishing things up and wrapping up on the old Topside Manor. We did, I don't know if you saw on our Facebook post, we did a clean out day, and so we rearranged things and moved old beds out of rooms and cleared everything out, and a couple loads to the dump of other stuff, and yeah, it's coming together really well. Yeah, I will say I was really pleasantly surprised. This, having been in the community for about 7 years, I'd heard odds and ends of public comment about the upkeep of the building and what the facility was looking like, and I was pleasantly surprised as we've begun to get into the building a little heavier that it's in really pretty good shape. We've got a really, really good set of bones to work with there. It's probably been within the last 10 years, maybe 12 years. That the electrical side of things from outside into the new panels. The panels have all been updated, so the electrical system in there is pretty good. We'll trace those out throughout the building. It's just to the panels, so we'll have to look and see where else if there's any issues on the inside. But all in all, it's been a really well kept facility. So we're going to be able to hit the ground pretty quickly on this.
Good deal.
Any questions for me on it as far as what we're looking to do? I think I've talked with you all before a little bit about it, but I certainly can recap.
Did Matt Miller contact you?
I haven't talked to him yet, no.
Okay, he contacted me the other day and said they're gonna have to move some people or something out of res care over there because there's a water leak. Want to know if they could use part of the old Good Sam's for a while. I said we're done with that. I'll contact
Yeah,
Ben.
have him
Sherman.
holler at me. Yeah.
So
see what we
anyhow.
can
Well, I have a quick claim deed in front of me
do.
here,
Okay,
sir.
by golly.
So, do we need a motion to approve this quick claim deed, please?
I will so move that we approve that.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded, and we approve the quick claim deed between Sherman County and the Northwest Kansas Technical College. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion's passed. So,
I will say too, I think again, kind of with the shape that the building's in, I think we're going to actually be able to speed up how quickly we're in the facility. We're going to tackle it probably a wing at a time, moving a program over a piece at a time as we renovate individual wings for what we're looking to do. I know just this last week, and Craig may have an email sitting in his inbox he sees this morning, but we're working on standing up a medical lab tech program, which is one of the new programs we're looking to bring in. Across the state of Kansas, higher education is only hitting about half of the labor market needs for medical lab techs, and so we're going to look at standing one of those up here. Start out face-to-face, but there's a couple good examples out there, some really good online hybrid programs where students can do clinical outreach all over the place, but still be able to meet some of the employment demands where the need is high. I'm assuming still the case as far as lab techs are concerned.
I've got a lab tech in class right now, or training. Yes.
Good. And I think this next year, our kind of focus is once we finish up with the work that we're doing on the Elks Lodge, then we'll shift gears probably over the course of the summer renovate a space in there for CNA, CMA classes, work with some EMT space and some things like that that we can rock and roll and get the facility in use. My hope is within the next year in some spots.
Is most of this being done with your students or your contract?
No, most of it's going to be done in-house. So
Okay.
we hired Kyler West this last year as our in-house carpenter, and he's done just a fabulous job. He's done a great job for us. Doing a lot of work, and then of course we've got electrical and carpentry programs that
Sure.
when they're not on other projects, will be helping us out over there with projects we need
Okay.
on site.
Good.
I have to go get this notarized.
Ah. You're about in business here.
All good.
Yeah, I
Any
seen-
other questions for me though?
Yes,
Do I need to go to the mic?
Would you please?
we would, please, yes.
I get twice today. So, question came up in my group the other day. We have occasional need for travelers and a place to just sleep, like a sleep room. Is there any way that we could maybe rent some space over there and outside while you're doing the renovation?
Yeah, we have talked about one of the other pieces that we all know there's a need for housing, both short-term and long-term. One of the things that we've discussed a little bit, in particular looking at would be the southeast wing, which is one of the newer additions on the building. We did kind of a walkthrough in those spaces, and we think what we can do is take 2 rooms, modify one of the walls in between, and create small suites out there. And so actually, we were hoping we could do something like that and potentially work with you guys and/or other contractors in the area that have
A
those
paying
short
tenant?
term. So we're there. We're there. So yeah, we would
That's
definitely
a
be
good deal.
interested in
We should talk some more. I think
Absolutely.
that would be a big help for
Absolutely.
both of us.
You bet. Nice and close, 200 feet door to door.
Yeah,
It's a good spot to be.
Now you guys will get your insurance as of today on that building. And
Yep. We're kind of geared up, so we'll get insurance and stuff lined up today, and then we'll start switching utilities over as well. We've already begun the work of contacting the company that does the servicing on the elevator. Reached out to them about 3 weeks ago or so to touch base. And then the backup generator as well. So work with them. As a matter of fact, that'll actually be a really good benefit for us because the company that services the old topside, we're going to work with them to now come over and start servicing our on-campus one as well that we have. So we'll have there'll be two backup generators that they'll be able to use. So yeah, it'll be good.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, that's good. I'm just glad it's getting put to good use.
And to tell you what, that's one of those things, especially in rural communities, that if there's not a plan for it when it buttons up, oftentimes they become kind of an eyesore around the town, and they sit for 10 or 20 years till somebody wants to buy it and move into one wing of it, and the building continues to dilapidate and fall
Yep.
down. So we're excited to be a part of that and see it put to good use and positive use for the community.
Okay.
I like it.
You want a copy of it now? We'll record it,
Okay,
and then we'll get it to you.
that's fine.
Okay,
You
sounds
bet,
good.
that works. Okay,
So you're the official owner now.
we're it. We're
Yep.
good to go. Thank you for trusting us with this and allowing us to steward that facility and rock and roll.
Okay.
Sounds
Thank you.
good.
Appreciate it.
Good
You
luck
bet.
to you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Miss Jade?
Got a lot of familiar faces I haven't seen in a while. How are you guys?
Good.
Glad to hear it. Okay, mine's pretty simple. I just have a few questions regarding fairgrounds. I'm getting married on June 10th, and I'm planning to have my reception at the pavilion. So I wanted to know a couple of things. Is it possible to set up the night before and clean up the morning after? For the first question, and then second, can we have alcohol? And if so, do we need a liquor license and an insurance for that as well? I have that kind of lined up, already got like an estimate of what that's going to be through Chandra. And then also will the bathrooms be able to be used too?
Well, you're talking, while you're asking questions, William is back there shaking his head yes, and so
Okay.
setting up would be no problem on those dates.
I
Just
just have to have get the carnival guys with most of their stuff out of there, which most of that will probably be already out of there.
Can you go up to the mic so we can hear everything you're saying? Hate to do that to you, but it's a necessity.
We just need to get with the carnival guys and get everything hauled out of the building and everything and get it swept, and they'll be ready to go and everything. And the restrooms can be used. And what I've been told, we've got a sheep show too that's gonna be on Sunday out there and Monday. So I told Ashley and I told the extension office what we would do is we may just have to rope off areas where she could have enough parking, and whoever shows up on Saturday night for the sheep show, they'll just have to go in through the north gate and park down there by the camper
Okay.
area and everything, so.
Okay.
Now, as far as the liquor license, I don't know anything about.
I don't think she needs a liquor license, and as long as you guys approve
Just special
the
use.
alcohol in the building, just the special use insurance.
But it has to stay in the building.
in the building.
It has to stay, you
Inside
you
the
designate, designate the area, and it has to stay in there, that's,
Yeah.
so you're good there. And you'll have your insurance liability insurance for that.
Yep, and I've got 3 days lined up on it, just
Yeah.
in case we do like a reception dinner out there or whatever. We probably won't, because we're gonna do that at my house. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Any
So
other
I'll just have to
questions?
drop a resolution, right? Okay. As soon as we get that done, you'll be ready to roll.
Okay. Awesome. I don't think I have anything else. I was trying to think of some questions, but I think that was basically the gist of it. So,
Okay.
Okay.
all right.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you guys for your time. I
Mhm.
appreciate it.
Yep.
It was good to see you. I'll have to stop in
Okay.
our office.
We're ahead of
We're
schedule,
ahead of
so.
schedule, so,
Eric, you want to,
We got, okay, perfect. We got I've got two things for you. First would be I guess it's an MOU between the county and the city, officially allowing Josh to be my backup and me to be Josh's backup. Included in that is allowances that both sides will have each other's access. So I will have access to the city systems, and Josh will have access to our systems.
And there's no compensation going back and forth. It's purely an understanding of the confidentiality back and forth, and the understanding that if one is unavailable, the other will cover. To highlight the importance of that, Eric was gone last week. The building had a slight power surge. The court reporting system went AWOL during that, and we went an entire day without the ability to have court, which took some creativeness. So we've got a simple memorandum of understanding. Jake has looked it over as far as the city goes. Eric's looked it over. I think Josh has looked it over as well. So if you guys are on board with allowing that, we've got an MOU for you guys to sign to allow Josh access to the county system and to the facility in the event Eric's unavailable and we have an issue that needs resolved.
Now, does this exclude or include like PD and the sheriff's department as well?
It would include any county IT system.
Okay.
And vice versa, any city IT system.
Okay.
I think you guys are essentially kind of available for each other now. It's just putting it on paper with
Putting it on paper to have-
confidentiality, understanding,
Right.
and
Right.
everything else.
Right.
I think that is a good idea to have a backup, because we never know when, like you said, there's probably been an easy fix for either of you to take care of it, but you had to know how to do
Well,
it.
it's not a monetary thing, it's swapping out labor,
Right.
basically, if the need arises. So,
I think the only caveat to that was any sort of mass incident.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
for instance, we all like using a tornado around here as an example. If a tornado hit this building and Josh was helping to rebuild, it's probably gonna take more than just
Sure.
an hour or two, at which point we would want to talk about recompensating for a large amount of time.
And that's contemplated in here.
Yep. Okay. Sounds good.
So you're happy with the contract? Jake's happy with the
I hope
contract?
so, I wrote it.
Okay. That's good. Okay.
You know who to blame.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
So we need a motion then to
Yep.
accept that. I would so move.
I will second that.
Been moved and seconded. We have an MOU between the city and the county, and do it as effective as today's date. So, then moved, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is passed.
And so this will have to go to the city and be signed then as well.
Yeah, I think they meet tomorrow. Or sometime this
They
week.
should meet on Monday.
Tonight?
I think it's tonight.
Is it tonight? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll get it over to Jake so that they can sign it.
So number 2, I had a conversation with Steve probably a month ago, was looking at updating our open meeting policy. It is posted on the website, and that's part of the reason why we needed to update it was we changed several things in here. So we were clarifying a few things and then adding a little bit in terms of the recording. In yellow are the items that have changed. Big things are adding the public comment area. And that is items 3, 4, 6. 7 was a clarification on the public comment section. Specifically, it is a comment session, or excuse me, that's a 9. I apologize. 7 is adjusting the microphone so that it can be recorded. In 9, it was adding the clarification that public comments are strictly comments and it's not a question and answer session. And then everything on the back is in regards to recording the meetings, what will be recorded, what is not recorded, where they are going to be kept at, and basically a consent to record it, being recorded statement. Brett has reviewed this, and his comments, additions have been added, which were in the highlighting.
So basically, just like what went on this morning, we gotta get people to come to the podium, so it is recorded. Because if we don't, then whoever's watching don't know what was really said, so.
Yeah, so I guess the thought process is if you guys agree and approve this, we'll sign it in to regulation. And then I would say for the next few meetings, we will just have printed copies both at the podium and on the banister, just for anybody to review, along with it being on the website.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve amendment of the Sherman County Commission open meeting policy.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the Sherman County open meeting policy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is passed.
Okay, so I've got a place for all 3 of y'all to
Okay.
sign. And as that's going around, there was a comment brought up about the video footage. So as we've kind of rearranged the room, the view that you guys are getting it fits you 3, which I feel is appropriate considering it is your meeting.
Yep.
Okay.
So camera-wise, that's basically how it's.
I don't see a problem with it. I mean, it's our business meeting. You can see us, you can see the people come and talk to us,
Okay.
so.
That's it.
Do you guys have any other questions?
I believe so.
Doing good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Judge Showalter, do you have anything? I love your code, but
Have a few things, if I could.
Can you want to come up to the table, or?
Could. I realized this morning I'm technically not on the agenda, but I thought if I sat in with Brett, maybe I could at least talk to you a little bit. I'm here to spend your money,
Again?
a lot of it this time. I wanted to give you a heads up before we get started. We have a jury trial scheduled for next January.
can you get closer to the microphone?
I'm sorry, we have a jury trial scheduled for next January. It's currently scheduled for 2 weeks, and it, by my estimation, will last 2 weeks. I also would suggest that it probably will be taking place. Unlike the vast majority of trials that we get set, this one's gonna happen. It's a attempted, or it's a first degree murder.
It's an infant death case that the AG's office is prosecuting for me.
Okay.
And so you've already spent a lot of money on it already, whether you knew it about it or not, but you're really gonna be getting out the checkbook come January, February. The reason that I'm talking to you, well, this is more background again. Last time I checked, the AG's office has scheduled 52 subpoenas, 52 different witnesses. So we're gonna have witness fees and travel fees for a substantial number of those, because they're gonna be doctors and nurses and medical personnel from Children's Denver will be here. And guess who's probably gonna get bills for that? That's all. Oh, by the way, I wanted to put you in the right kind of mood to ask for more money. And I know that that's probably insane, but in the past, I had convinced you guys to up the amount of jury fees to $25 a day. We had for years paid $10. Now, I acknowledge that people serve on a jury because it's the right thing to do. It is a duty. It's a responsibility. And you can't legitimately expect to pay them what they're worth. You just do, it's a payment to show that you're taking their time seriously and whatnot. I've talked to Cheyenne County in the past and had convinced them to bump up their daily fees to $50. But all those trials have gone away, and they aren't 2 weeks long. So the question that comes in today is this. We're going to have between 100 and 200 jurors come in first day. Normally, what we've done in the past is we've just paid them their mileage plus $10 or the $15 of the old standard fee. If they were not selected, they got their check and went home. If they were selected, then they got $25 a day plus mileage. The question I have for you is, gentlemen, would you be interested in going up some, whether it be to 50 or somewhere in between 25 and 50, to partially reimburse those folks? Now, like I say, I'm not sure in this day and age if $50 isn't equivalent to 10, but it is. It shows that you're interested. By my calculations, that means a guaranteed $7,000 in attorney fees, or in jury fees, plus the first day. So you're probably staring very easily at just the jury part of this at $10,000. Well, with that, I have a new part. No, I'm sorry, Brett. Anything you'd like to add to that? No, yeah. You'd like a new car too? At any rate, that's something for you to think about. Time is not of the essence. I'm not asking you to make that decision today. We have until January 23rd, I believe.
What kind of other additional costs are we talking? I mean, what would be like a rough guess of what this is?
If
Well,
we,
the case was filed
a year ago,
in June or July of last year,
Yeah.
and we've got court-appointed fees.
I would anticipate attorney fees will be in excess of $50,000. Witness fees, depending, if they really bring 52 people out, that could easily be a like amount. And then you're talking jury fees, the other expenses that go along, because we're going to be feeding them. Once the jury goes into being into the
Deliberations.
decision, that's going to be our responsibility to keep them fed and happy, or at least happy as we can hope. A rough estimate, I would think, is a couple $100,000.
And I would
It's
just ask
murders.
that you, ask you to keep in mind, this is an infant murder.
This is a murder. This is the purpose for the judicial system. I mean,
Okay.
this is that worst case scenario that we worry about. We've been pretty lucky. We haven't had a lot of jury expenses. We've had them and we've plugged them in every year, and for whatever reason, we've been able to get them settled out. This one's not settling.
Okay.
This one's going to go.
Well, I would like to be able to talk with Ashley on the budgeting end of it. She has the figures there. They'll be out of the special fund and the gen. And so we need to see what,
No, and like I say, I understand. This is out of the blue. You hadn't expected it. You hadn't seen it coming. That's why I wanted to talk to you now. I have talked to Burton last week about security. There's blind expenses to everything. He's going to have more overtime, more people watching. We're going to have, even you're going to have your direct expenses, and you're going to have your stuff that just goes along with it.
I think a year ago you had mentioned possibility of this, so.
Well, and like I say, you always hope that these things percolate along, and then at the end they get settled. This one's not going to settle.
It has to be done.
And it has to be done.
Has to be done.
So, I know from your standpoint, you're looking at it going, this is a lot of money, how are we going to make it work? And that's fine. I would leave you with the words of Gail, my secretary this morning, and her response was, yeah, but how would you like to serve on this jury and try to pay your bills and get
Yeah,
a check for $10 a day, too?
yeah, that's true.
So,
Okay.
I'm good at giving you the problems. Brett's good at giving you the answers.
He's got a lot of faith.
Well, thank you all.
Oh,
Do you have any
certainly.
questions about what's going on in the court system or anything?
We don't dare ask.
That's probably the best way.
No news is good news, and
No news is good news. Case-wise, we're coming back from the pandemic, I think, pretty well. We are no longer the largest criminal case load in the district. We're second, but that's where we should be. Thomas County had dropped the ball for a number of years. But we're pretty much where we should be. I have no complaints with what's going on with the criminal prosecution side of it.
And you're doing well?
I'm doing well.
Good.
We'll know in a couple months if things are well or if they're masked, but Either way, I look good, so.
Yeah, yeah. That was gonna be my next comment.
Well, that's clearly the most important point.
Eric, can you turn that screen around again? We don't need that.
Yeah, could you zoom in on somebody else?
Well, next to me, you are good looking, so.
Well, yeah.
Thank you for
We're not
brightening
gonna
our
go
day,
there.
So,
Oh, yeah.
as always.
Well, thank you all.
Thank you.
Sorry about getting in on your time.
No, you're good. We were ahead of schedule.
Yes.
Still are, I think.
Okay, Mr. Broder.
Yeah.
Heavy on the mister.
Okay, Rod's here with me. We had an individual in the county that, and I'll let Rod correct me if I've got the area wrong, but essentially the individual owns a good portion around the county road, and he's wanting to essentially connect his pasture land, and by doing so, he'd like to install a cattle guard across the county road. Rod and I had a discussion about it. I've talked with the landowner. I've got the statute that essentially says if there is an area that can be determined to be largely used as pasture lands, the county commission can make the determination to allow that to happen. Basically, all you have to do is make the agreement that you're allowing that to happen. It's the landowner's expense for the purchase and installation and maintenance of that cattle crossing. It just cannot impair the travelability of that road, and it's the county's expense for the signage of cattle crossing, etc. And so that's how the statute stands. It's up to the three of you whether or not you want to allow that to happen. There are others in the county.
My question is there a standard for these things? I mean, you can't just throw up a hunk of junk.
Right.
I mean, is it like an engineered way to do it? Like that first one you hit going to the sweat ranch. I mean, you can tell that thing's been done right.
Yeah, it's been there for years.
And in my opinion, that's how they need to be done. So we need to ensure that a top quality deal's getting put in there so it doesn't, create a hazard
And I know
for
Mike
traffic.
was talking about having the BOCC build them for him.
Well, it doesn't matter who builds it, but I mean, it needs to have a concrete
Yeah.
footing and, it's gotta be done right.
So the county would install it, and then he would have to reimburse you for it?
No.
He would install.
No.
They would
He would
install
Now,
it.
the county can assist in that installation,
Okay.
which I'm assuming, and Rod and I were talking back there, I'm assuming the county would so that it is installed one, to the specifications as this Rod is talking about, but two, to a way that they can still maneuver around it to do the road maintenance. But no, he would be responsible for the purchase and installation and maintenance of the cattle guard itself. But as far as true specifications, no. All it has to do is keep the cattle in and allow passable, travelable traffic.
Well, you've been over some of the cheap ones and the trucks, they bend them and, that's no good. It's gotta be done right.
That's my question, is to make sure, is there gonna be heavy truck traffic ever going over that thing? If it,
You never know. I mean, probably not, but
You gotta build
it is an
as if
open
it was.
road,
yes,
so.
that's it, because now,
Four-wheel drive
80,000
tractors.
pounds and on a semi's light, and making sure that,
I guess you just have to drop some specs as to how the bare minimum standard would be.
need to talk to,
If it just
Mr.
takes
Medora.
going down the sweat ranch and taking dimensions off of that and see what it was made out of and
It
how it
probably
was
needs to
built.
be wider than what that one is
I
now,
agree.
because if people are gonna bring farm equipment through there, it's all gotten wider, so it's gonna have to be wider than.
Yep. And then is there any stipulations for them to allow a bypass around it should maintenance have to be done on it, so they're not complaining about traffic going around it?
No requirement of that, no.
Could that be something we could add to the agreement?
I was just getting ready to say, I think that as long as he's in agreement with it, if those are stipulations that the three of you want to put on it.
I would.
And he wants to agree. It's fairly vague as to the agreement portion of it.
Okay.
So I think that if the three of you want to sit down with him and say, this is what we want to see, if he wants to agree to it, and he still wants the cattle guards, then
I think that would be a very wise idea to have it, first the stipulations are built in that to, I don't know, how wide are we gonna be looking at? 30?
I don't think you'd want to go that, maybe 26 or 28 probably.
2 foot off, so, you know.
But you do think you need like fills with another gate so that people could access it? If there's something wrong with the cattle guard, they could still.
Yeah.
It wouldn't hurt.
Even if it's just a gate, they can allow for them to go around if,
Right, and then depending on your ditches there, you might have to have a fill on each side so they could,
That's exactly right.
so. Guess the best thing,
If we're gonna allow it, I mean, let's do it right. we
so
don't have
maybe,
any issues.
maybe if you get all the plans together and what the costs are, and then we set with him, and if he wants to incur those costs, then we can go forward, but I agree. If we're gonna do it, we need to do it right.
yes.
you want to talk to him.
Yep, I can.
Okay.
Now,
So we're saying that we need him to put a concrete footer in the bottom would be the right
Yes.
way. to-
Absolutely.
100%.
Yep, and then,
yeah,
Schedule 80
yep,
pipe, whatever that could build it out of.
well, you definitely want them heavy enough for like trucks or even your road graders. You have to get over the, drive over it with your equipment. So,
I think they'd want to have it big enough to handle.
It's gonna
Fully
be there,
loaded
you want it to be
cattle
there
pot.
forever.
yep.
I mean, that's the bottom line.
And then he'd have to put gates in, so if there's anything ever wrong with it, the people could
There
open
you
the
go.
You
gates and
can't
go
impede
around.
traffic, yep. That road's gotta remain open. I don't know which road it is, but it doesn't matter. It's a through road, it's a maintained road, so.
the county doesn't accept any responsibility if they put these in with signage, like, so then people cross that and they're going too fast, they hit a cow on the road. It's hit.
Not that I can see.
Okay. So, that'd be something I want to make sure of, that we're not accepting any responsibility for this cattle being on the road and people hitting it.
Not that I can see, no.
Okay. Okay,
There you go.
so I guess you got a little homework ahead of you.
There you go.
That's what you wanted, wasn't it?
Sure.
Okay.
How did our roads hold up for the winter or the fall?
Some of them all right and some of them not. We hold a lot of water.
I know on Road 14 on the hill.
Yeah, and we're still hauling water. I mean, it just so dry.
Yeah.
All the hills when they come apart. But I think it's about done with. So.
Yeah.
I think it's getting on the slower end of it for sure, but
Yep.
still.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else exciting?
I can think of now.
How are you staffed? Are you full staffed right now?
No, we still need one.
One, okay. How about the landfill? Are they fully staffed right
Yeah.
now? Okay,
Yep.
all right. So I guess we'll just wait and see what you come up with for,
Okay. Yep. I'll talk to him and then I guess you'll have to put it all in the agreement then, huh?
Yes.
okay? Sounds good?
good.
Okay,
That's all I have on that.
all right.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Yep.
One other thing before executive session. The district court has gone to what our e-filing system is called Odyssey, and it's more of a centralized, and I'm going to screw some of this up, I should have had Judge Showalter stay. It's more of a centralized system, and so instead of, if you get a speeding ticket, instead of paying it through the district court, it all goes through Topeka now, and then out of that, our local court fees and everything get reimbursed, et cetera. In a normal case, if there are fees still owed, so like on a probation revocation, if they get revoked and ordered to do their jail or prison time, the remaining fees go to collections. The way it still works that way, but we received a packet last week. These are all court cases that had unpaid amounts. This is a letter from, I'm assuming, the collection company that has, it's each a different court case that is essentially to the county that is saying, we will collect these with no cost to you. I'm assuming, they'll take a percentage of it for the collection. The letter is, if we do not want them to collect on our behalf, we sign it and return to them. Since this is the first batch that we received, I imagine that this will be a common practice. I wanted to address it with the three of you. I'm assuming you want them to continue to pursue collections regardless of the amount. There's some in here for $7, some in here for $3,800.
I think you want to collect as much as you possibly can.
That was my assumption, but I didn't want to make that call
Right.
without addressing it with the three of you, and
Do we know what percentage they ask for?
I don't. But 70% of whatever is better than 0% of zero.
Well, that's true. Unless it's 100%. I mean, if they take 100% for the collection, then we didn't gain nothing, but.
The way their letter reads is essentially, if we want to decline it, we sign it and send it back to them. Otherwise, we do nothing. They continue the collections, and then it'll filter in over time.
Okay.
I think let them collect.
Now, do you want me to address this with you every time we get a batch, or just long-standing order and continue to have them collect?
I think a long-standing order, unless something red flags you that concerns it, that I think we get something like this, you keep us posted as what you feel needed, but you know our opinion of collecting.
I agree. I think it would be nice to know what their percentage is that they keep, though. I mean, just so we know.
I will see if Jackie happens to know that off the top of her head upstairs, otherwise we'll find out.
Okay.
Is that ARSI?
CBK.
Okay.
Then I need 15 minutes, attorney-client, to discuss the K-Camp quarterly, which is confidential, privileged and confidential as it states on the form.
Okay.
Make a motion to go into executive session.
I'll second it.
With
15 minutes.
Ashley.
With Ashley, 15 minutes. And reconvene here.
How long did you say?
15 minutes.
15 minutes. So I'm going to take a break first and then put the sign up. Been moved in second, we go into executive session for 15 minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion wondering if I was going to pass that.
I know that ARSI, actually, they didn't have to go to court. It takes 50% executive sessions.
Just a new business, so minutes, mail, and tax correcting.
What? Yeah. Fantastic. What? No, we haven't really had it yet, necessarily.
my mic on? Okay.
Meeting in the regular session come back to order, please. Let's go minutes. Are there any questions on the minutes from October the 11th?
Minutes look good.
No, I didn't see no problems. I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Been moved to approve. Is there a
Second.
second? Been moved and seconded that we approve. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Approve the minutes.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's passed.
We signed checks. I didn't see any problems. Rod, you see any problems?
No, I'm good. I addressed that. So.
Steve?
I didn't see any problems on that.
Oh.
Did you finish what was in the box? Because I didn't get all of mine signed.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
I did it.
I did it, okay.
Okay. I'll make a motion. We pay the bills in the amount of $233,989.84.
Second.
Been moved and second, we paid the bills. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is passed. Have here a lease with YGB Showmanship Camp by Jocelyn Corndeckett. And this is for June the 11th, 2023, and June the 12th. So they're looking to lease the fairgrounds from the 11th through the 12th from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sign the contract.
And who's wanting to lease that?
Josh and Corndeckett,
Okay.
YGB Showmanship Camp. So do I hear a motion we approve this lease?
I'll approve that.
Been moved, do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor that we approve the lease, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's passed.
Is that for the wedding on the 17th?
No, this is for a sheep showmanship.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I just knew-
That
I
is
got
going to
it.
coincide. They are going to coincide, but William's going to work out. And then we have tax rolls, one tax roll for changing the corrections. So for $40.58. Change of valuation, I take.
Yep, that one's a Board of Tax Appeals. It says there in the middle, reason for change, BODA.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a court order deal. We don't have an option.
Make a motion to approve the tax resolution.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed. We have mail.
Harvey and I each got a letter to come by the booth at KAC, so I guess these are old letters, so we were both there, both went by.
Just a thank you from Sheriff Bonalto for the plants for Jeff's passing. Grateful for the support. Sherman County Sheriff's Office.
So I guess our next meeting will be the 14th. Flip up December there, Rod, for just a second.
This is the
Okay.
minutes from the Sherman County Historical Society. Anyone, let's see them, there you go. Okay. Any other new business? Fairground lease, tax roll, got the mail, minutes, so. Nothing else to come before the commissioners? Entertain a motion for adjournment.
I will so move.
So moved and seconded. We adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Meeting